Alright, I just got done unloading this. Drove downstate to get it. This is welding machine exactly like what I currently have. According to the gentleman I bought it from, it runs but it will not weld. And he did start it when I bought it. It does indeed run. So we're gonna give this a go, see if we can get it to weld here in a short amount of time. Cosmetically, this is in a little bit better shape than what mine is, but so far that's about it. So we'll give this a try and see if we can make something happen with this. Can't imagine why the starter won't engage. Alright, wasn't able to get this thing started yesterday, so I'm going to check it for spark. What this guy does, it's got a groove there. Stick it on the spark plug wire, and there's a fuse in there. If it's got spark, it will light up. So see what we got. Alright, I'm back out here today. It's been almost a week since I picked this up. Didn't want to start. Had my suspicions. They were right. The electronic ignition control module went bad on it. They had this mounted right here to the outside, so that was on there like that. I put it where the points used to be at. This way it's out of the weather. So I'm gonna start this thing up, see if we've got auxiliary power or 120 power, and see if we can weld with it. Alright, so I'm out here revisiting this thing. Oh, found several issues. Got normal corrosion on stuff. That's easy enough to clean up. Found out what was hiding underneath the electrical tape. Go figure. And then I found some other fun stuff. Yeah, so I get to replace just about every one of these wires, plus take all the screws out and clean those up. I'm going to hit the back of the... this is the polarity selector switch. The fine adjust rheostat. And then the coarse adjust. Get all those polished back up. And clean up a bunch of other connections I find. So I'm going to get that taken care of, and hopefully I can get this thrown in the skid for mock-up. Hopefully it'll weld too. That's the important part. Alright guys, did some more digging research. It's no real good way to show you guys, but if you see my pen, this right here is a bridge rectifier, and I'm going to test that, try to show you guys. But apparently if the bridge rectifier is non-functioning on this particular machine, it will not produce power at the welding leads. Also it controls some other functions. So I did bring my voltmeter out, and I do have a new bridge rectifier. So we're going to test a bunch of that stuff. I do have to make a trip to the auto parts store, and the slip rings on there. See the slip rings down there? Those are kind of dirty. So I'm going to get some 400 or 500 grit sandpaper, chunk of wood, and I'll turn the machine on and polish up the slip rings. You don't want to use emery cloth on that. Because the slip rings is where this machine gets its power from. So, got a couple of different things to check into. I do have drill the wire brush on it. We're going to hit some of these other connections here on the idle circuit board. Try to get those cleaned up as best as we can. Okay, so with the old one, get nothing. Now with the new one, switch those. Okay, now that all the cars have gone by, so this does run. It does weld fairly well, actually. I get 110 volt power. I did have to reflash the generator after I replaced the bridge rectifier. So there's the part number off the original bridge rectifier. Now this is labeled positive, negative. All I did is I put the positive to the positive on the new bridge rectifier, and then I went clockwise with taking off the wires and putting them onto the new one, and everything seems to work. I didn't buy the factory replacement ones. I just bought some generic ones. I think it was $10 for 5 of them, so $2 for that. I bought a new electronic ignition for this. Same deal, I bought 2 of them for like $15 or $20, and I put that in this cover right here, which is where the old points go. So this way it's out of the weather, protected. I did clean up the slip rings, nice and bright, shiny. I did take all of the connectors off the idler circuit board, cleaned those all up, stuck them back on. Now I am having an issue with this where it doesn't want to auto idle. So when this isn't, so if this is idling, now you go to strike an arc or try to start a grinder with it, it will not auto idle up. But if it's on high idle, everything works. And I had that same issue with my other welder, and it just kind of came back into itself after a while of using it. You know, there's still some other connections I can clean up, poke around a little bit. I'm not that concerned about it right now. When you do put the new bridge rectifier in, you need to use some type of heat dissipation paste. Had a friend of mine give me this a while ago. does weld halfway decent. I adjusted the governor spring on this, and it come right to life after that. So now I can get on to some other stuff for this. At least now I know it works. I wasn't wanting to put too much time into it until I knew it worked. Just because of the simple fact, there's no point in dumping more money into it than if it's not going to run, work, weld. So I need to make a control panel. I'll probably end up doing something so it sits up here at the top. But I'm going to put a oil temp gauge, the new ammeter up here, and a fuel gauge, because that fuel tank is going away. I'm going to build a much larger fuel tank for this, so it's getting a fuel gauge. It's also going to get a remote switch and plug, and it will probably get a more modern style of 220 plug for future. I haven't decided if it's just going to be a regular 3-prong 220 or if it's going to be a twist lock style. Might even put remote switch and whatnot down here where the old ammeter is. I don't know. I got to decide what I want to do with that. But for now, I'm going to call this done. It works. I can weld. I can grind. It has plenty of power. So as far as I'm concerned, that end of the deal is done. Those were the two big things, was getting working 110 volt power, 115 volt, and making sure it welds. So from here, exhaust, this is going away. I've already got some parts for this for a newer, or not necessarily newer, but a hopefully quieter exhaust. I did buy a decibel meter, and I took comparisons of this one and my other one, and we'll see what happens when I put the new setup on here, see if I can get that to come down. So that's going to be one of the upcoming videos, the welding machine and the welding skid. So I'm trying to keep both the skid and the welding machine separate, but they kind of go hand in hand. Obviously the welding skid is going to be a lot more involved, but there's also going to be quite a bit more to come on redoing the welding machine. It's going to get a huge makeover, we'll put it that way. I've got a bunch of ideas. We'll see what comes of that. See about getting some more parts ordered, and yeah, we'll go from there. So I do got some other videos coming on some of the other stuff around here. Some of it before the windstorm. That was exciting. No power for about 4 days. But anyway, yeah. So that's it for this video. I'm sticking a fork in it, calling it done. And you guys can see what I end up doing with the exhaust next. So, see you in the next go around.